Hi guys, welcome back. It's LSP. It is currently the 14th of January 2020. So today I want to be doing something different. I've opted to just do a recording of myself. I want to be discussing some things regarding small accounts, how to build a small account if you've got no money to trade with, that sort of thing. Now, one of the things, and I did a video about this a while ago. One of the things, sorry, let me just get comfortable. One of the things over the years, I actually said this in a previous video, but one of the things over the years that really sort of doesn't really get addressed, and it's a shame, is people who spend time talking with traders, spend time talking to educators, spend time going to webinars, all this sort of thing. They ask the question, if you don't have money to trade with, then how do you get money to trade with? And some of the advice is, I'm not saying it's incorrect, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it doesn't really address the issue. One of the biggest challenges in the industry, I think, if you're a beginning trader and you're learning to trade, is, you stick $50 into an account or £50 into an account, depending on where you are in the world, or even euros, whatever, and you start trading, you start trying to grind, you start, trying to put a little bit of black, a little bit of scratch in the account. The issue is you're dealing with $50, or £50, and even though you might say to yourself, I'm going to treat this like a real account, like one that, is effectively £50,000, for example, and I'm going to make sure that my risk is 1 to 2%. I'm going to make sure that my risk model is correct. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing, it doesn't work like that. It's very rare that you'll get an individual that will sit down and say, right, here's my $50. I'm treating it like that. I'm going to treat it seriously. People don't do that. Generally, what people end up trying to do is they'll take the $50 and they'll try and turn it into thousands, and statistically, it's, you're talking maybe 1%, of people that can actually do that. And the ones that do it, it's luck. That's what I'm getting at. It's not something that's consistent. You can't take $50 and turn it into thousands. I tried. I actually did a YouTube series on that, and it failed miserably. Right? So I was doing all right, to be fair. I think it was 250 I started with, and I took I built the account up a little bit, made a little bit of profit, which was fine. That I can do all day long because I know how to trade, I know how to build small accounts, but it takes time. And the whole point was I wanted to see if I could get $10,000 in a very short period of time, and I ended up taking some of the profit that I'd made, and I used that profit on a gold trade, and I ended up taking a big chunk of that profit away. If I remember correctly, I took the trade based on the percentage of profit that I've made, and then, if the trade didn't work, then I would have ended up back where I was. In fact, it wasn't 250. I tell a lie. It was 150, and I got the account to 252 to 256, I think it was. Don't quote me, guys. It's all on YouTube. Got the account to around about sort of 256. Used that profit to take a trade on gold to bump the account because I was trying to get up to around about $500, where it's just going to kind of open things up a little bit, and I could open multiple trades. Didn't work. I ended up in a gold trade that didn't work out. I stopped the I stopped the challenge, and I ended up putting the money back into well, actually I didn't know. I ended up trading the account back up to the 150. It was just slightly under 150. I traded the account back up to 150. I think I went as low as 90, and then I ended up back at 150, and then I moved the money back into my main account. So it's hard, man. It's very, very hard to do that. And unless you have the discipline and the will, to trade a small account correctly and be patient and just look at the percentage gain, throughout the months and the years, you're going to find it very, very hard. Yeah. So the issue is never addressed. Going back to the original question, the issue is never really addressed. It's never addressed in the respect of, this is what you could be doing while you're learning to trade, or, and so my thinking on this, I've heard things like start a subscription service, start a signal service, get a second job. This is all great, yeah. But if you're learning to trade, how are you going to start a signal service? If you're working 60 hours a week, how are you going to get another job? Like, if you want it bad enough, you will do whatever you need to do to get enough scratch together to open a trading account and start trading properly. You know, that absolutely 100%. You know, I'm a big believer of hard work. I'm a big believer of, you know, sticking your heels in and just getting on with it. Do you know what I mean? Elbow grease, whatever, all that good stuff. But there are more efficient ways to put money together or get money together for a trading account while you're learning to trade. One of those, and we'll go through a bunch here, one of those, I will tell you a little bit about my own personal life, okay? I've had plenty of money, I've been broke, and I've had plenty of money, yeah? So personally, going through that period of my life from sort of 2008 to 2010, where things were very, very difficult for us, you know, as a family, that time, that small period of time was difficult because we weren't prepared for it. But not only that, if you look at the mental stress and strain that I went through during that time, and then you look at the way that I was prior to that, when things are okay, there's no real difference, to be honest. You know, this is something that a lot of people don't understand. They think when you've got money, everything's great. It isn't. The stress is still there. Everything's still there. You know, so that was very, very important and a very important lesson to learn. You know, your mind and the way that you think doesn't change just because you have no money or just because you do have money. All it does is amplify the way that you are. If you have plenty of money and you're an arsehole, you know, money's going to turn you into a triple arsehole, you know. You know, and if you're a kind-hearted person, you know, who just doesn't really leave home, for example, and just spends most of his time reading books, money's just going to amplify that behavior, yeah? And I know these are pretty loose examples, but that's just how it is. Money is nothing more than an amplifier of your current psychological makeup. That's just how it is, right? So when you're learning to trade, or even people who know how to trade but they don't have any money, okay, you can do things like get a second job, put some scratch aside, but let's just assume, okay, that you're just an average individual, you know, who lives paycheck to paycheck, you don't really have a lot of money, and you find it very difficult to save, because ultimately, if you can't put money aside, you're going to find it very difficult to, you know, to have money there to trade with, right? So let's look at it like this. I genuinely believe, doesn't matter how much you're making, doesn't matter how much you have, doesn't matter how little you have, you can put money aside, okay? Even if it's a pound. It may not seem like a big deal, but if you put a pound aside and you stick it in a jar, or you put it in a savings account, something, anything, okay, and go through that gritty, horrible, shitty period where money's going into your account and you see it's a pound, then it's £3 maybe, then it's, you know, £5. Eventually it's going to be at an amount that makes sense to you, and it's going to give you that little bit of a boost to say, do you know what? I never had £100 in that account when I started saving. Now I do, you know, and that's given me it gives you the incentive and a little bit of a push. You know, it's a little bit of excitement as well, because maybe you've never saved, you know, that sort of money before. It may only, you know, I'm using small amounts because there's not a lot of people, guys, out there that can put £200, £300, £400, £500 away, you know, every month. You know, there's not a lot of people that can do that. You know, so start small. Just anything, something, put it away. What I would also suggest while you're learning to trade, okay, is put money in one of these app accounts. Yeah, so you have, you know, there's plenty out there. You've got Wealthify, you've got Pension, no, not Pension Bee, because that's pensions. But you've got Wealth Simple, you've got Wealthify. I believe there's one called Moneybox. There's a couple of American counterparts. You know, there's a few of them. There's a few of them. You just have to, you know, just do a Google search for investment apps. You know, and you'll find plenty, you know, to work with. Personally, I think, I mean, I did a bit of research on these. I think Wealth Simple's probably the one that makes the most sense, because their fees are very low, and you can stick a pound in there, you know, and you can set up direct debits. Most of them do this, but you can set up direct debits to just have a pound going in there or £5 going in there every week, every, you know, couple of weeks, every month, or, you know, whatever frequency you want to do. You know, and you can do one-off payments as well, or one-off, not payments, but one-off investments. So you can put, like, you know, if you've got a spare £20, for example, or $20 or something, stick it in there as well, you know, as a one-off transaction. That will build on its own. You just leave that will build on its own, and have a goal in mind. You say, right, I'm going to start a full year. This is my year, and this is a great opportunity to do it because it's January, right? Start at the beginning of the year, and if at the end of the year you've got £500 or $500 or $300 or whatever it is, that's going to be a lot more than you have right now. And ultimately, one of the biggest problems in this industry, and one of the biggest challenges in respects of people trying to tell people something that they just refuse to listen to, is when you learn to trade, the curve is flat. It's going flat, 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 flat. And then when you eventually get to that point where you are consistently profitable and you have scratch to trade with, the curve spikes upwards. Yeah. So you might make, just for argument's sake, let's say you've been trading for a couple of years and you found your consistency. During that 2-year period, you know, you're a couple of percent, couple of percent, you know, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, you know, and maybe you start with $50 and that $50 turns into $75 over a 2-year period. Okay. And that's like proper trading. You're only risking 0.5% or 1% of your account, so on and so on and so on, right? So you're sitting on $75. But then when you start to trade using the same model, okay, compounding, correct risk and everything else, the next year, for example, it might have taken you 2 years to make $25, but the next year it's only going to take you maybe 6 months to make $25. Yeah, and these are just loose examples, but you know, then the following year or the following 6 months, it may take you 3 months to get another $25. It increases exponentially, very, very quickly. Okay, so you have to find a way, guys, to, and this is for those of you obviously who are struggling to find, you know, a way to save. You have to find a way to force yourself to save. Okay, you know, like I said, if you can find a second job or if you can find something to do at home, you know, something normal, man. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are very creative. I think they sell themselves short. You know, there's so many ways to make money, you know, especially in today's society, you know, in today's, you know, world, the way that, you know, the internet is, the way that access to information is, you know, there's a lot of ways, you know, to add an extra £50 here, an extra £50 there, you know, and that can all go into, if you already live, you know, a pretty stressful life, you know, and you hardly have anything left at the end of the month, making an extra £50, okay, isn't going to change your life, but it is going to have, you know, you are going to have money there that you can put to one side, right, to add to your trading account when the time comes. But like I said, it all starts in your head. You'll see, and I know there's a lot of people out there that do, you know, YouTube videos or, you know, online content, social media content, whatever, self-help, driving, pushing, you know, all the Tony Robbins and all that sort of stuff. You know, just fucking do it, man. Yeah, as Dan Pena says. You know, there's so many opportunities to do whatever the hell we want to do in life. Yeah, right now we're talking about trading, but this extends to everything in life. You could do whatever you want to do. Ultimately, it boils down to whether or not you can be bothered. Yeah, that's as simple as it gets. Can you be bothered to put money aside and go through that painstaking process of seeing a couple of pound turn into £4, turn into £8, turn into £13, you know, over a period of time until eventually there's enough money in there for you to do something with. Yeah, and then have the fortitude, you know, and the strength and the will to not use that money on some bullshit because you're using it for a purpose, you're saving for a purpose. Yeah, because that's the other part of this as well. When you start to see money in a savings account that makes sense, yep, I've got a couple of £100 in there, it took me a while to save it up, you know, I'm going to go and treat myself to a new pair of trainers. What the fuck is that? Why would you do that? Put the money in a place where you know you're saving for a reason, you're saving for your trading account, you're saving, learn, you know, continue to learn to trade, and then put that money aside. Do not use it. Yeah, I would rather save £200, okay, and blow it on one trade. And I'm not suggesting this, obviously. I'm just telling you the way that I am. I would rather do that than go and buy a new pair of trainers. Yeah, I've got no interest in a pair of trainers. I've got a pair of trainers. What do I need another pair of trainers for? Yeah, and this obviously extends to everything. I'm just giving you guys examples. It extends to everything, but it's about the way you think. Yeah, it's not success mindset and all this stuff. No, it's just we're all average individuals. Some above average, some below average, and I'm talking about intelligence now. Okay, but as far as capabilities, we all have the capability, right, to put a few dollars aside, a few pounds aside, a few euros aside, whatever, wherever you are in the world. We have the capability to do that. Do it. Put some money aside, chill out, let the money grow, get one of these investment apps, do that as well. If you need to get a second job or get creative or sell some shit, do whatever you need to do, right, to get some scratch together. And do it in a way where you're still learning to trade. So by the time you are ready to use the money that you have been painstakingly saving for, yeah, you are in a position where your trading is consistent. You're in a position where you are comfortable and confident in your ability to be able to turn that money into something else, you know? And then stick to risk management rules that make sense. Don't take the piss. Don't save up £1,000 over however long it takes and go through that, like I said, painstaking process of putting that money together and then blow it all on a couple of trades, or blow it all in a week or 2 weeks and then have to go through all of that again. Yeah, remember this stuff. Remember the pain that you go through when you're saving money. And again, for people who are struggling, this is for people who are struggling. I know there's people out there that can put £1,000 in a trading account, no problem. But we're talking about the individuals and the people out there that struggle to save because they are struggling in life. Okay, you can change that, but remember how hard it was when you finally get to the point where you've got enough. Yeah, 500, 1,000, 2,000 pounds, whatever the number is for you, where you've got enough to put in a trading account. Remind yourself constantly how painstaking that was to get that money together. And once you've got it together, respect it, and use it wisely. All right. So again, guys, I'm going to be mixing things up on YouTube. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos where I'm going to be discussing a lot of different things. This will be the format as well, because I think it's important to kind of put a face to the voice. I know a lot of you have seen my face before. I've got I'm not trying to hide who I am or whatever. But there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff out there that I want to talk about. I've got a lot of creative ideas that I want to put out there, into the trading community, and not just trading. There's some other stuff that I want to do as well. And I think this is a great platform to do it on. YouTube is quite a fascinating thing. You have your rabbit trails that you can go on when you're watching videos like you're stoned or something, and you're just clicking next video, next video, next video. Put that to one side. I'm talking about using YouTube as a tool to learn from. I use YouTube. If ever I use YouTube, or I want to learn something, the first thing I do is I go straight to YouTube, and I'll type the subject matter into the search, and then off you go. You've got thousands of videos about whatever you're trying to learn. So it's a great platform to put content out on. So like I said, I will be doing a lot more. I will be putting a lot of content out there. There are a few things this year. I really, honestly, if I can pull this off, I would love to get a bunch of traders together. I've said this recently. I'd love to get a bunch of traders together. We'll rent out a hall. There's a hall near me. I live in London. It's not a hall, but it's a hotel, lovely place out in the countryside. I would love, to just pop down there. I know one of the people that work there. Get a nice little room. Set up some computers. Do some trading. Get some good food. All that sort of stuff. That is one of the things that I have in mind this year. But obviously, I can't guarantee that that's going to happen, because it depends. It depends on a lot of different factors. But that's something that I would love to do. So I'm going to be pushing for that this year. Again, a lot of content going out on Patreon as well. That's increasing, so I'm very, very grateful for the people that are joining up on Patreon, because that allows me to do the things that I want to do in terms of delivering more content, putting more things out there. The other thing that I would ask is, if anybody finds value in what I do, and the information that I present online, and the things that I put on YouTube, and the Forex Factory Thread, and so on, basically giving of my time. If you appreciate that, the only thing that I would ask, guys, is that you just give a thumbs up on the video and share it. Yeah, it really makes a difference. You'd be surprised. Just one share of a video or one thumbs up, it puts the video in a lot higher up. Not necessarily in the search results, but it puts the video out there a lot more than it would be if somebody didn't press a thumbs up. Now I'm not asking you to do that if you don't want to. Yeah, if you find no value in what I'm doing, or you think the video is shit, whatever, just put a thumbs down. It makes no difference. In the respect of your own personal view. I don't ever want people to do something they don't want to do. But I would ask that, subscribe so you get notifications, when I put content out there. And just give if you want to give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up, and share the video, guys. I'd really appreciate that. So with all of that said, guys, as always, I hope everyone's having a great time. I hope everybody's well. I am going to continue to put content out there. This year I made a goal, or I have a lot of goals, but one of the goals this year is to maintain consistency with the content that I'm putting out on YouTube, and that's something that I'm going to be pushing for this year, and that's it. So with all of that said, guys, I hope everybody has a great day, and I will catch up with you soon. All the best.